Hello? The opening intensifies.
We're on round 3, everybody.
Round 3. Shout out
Round
to
three.
the Zents.
Yes.
Robert Zent and Henry Zent got us these bars for sustenance. Because without food, some would say, you die.
Might take a while.
Well, the 2-2-2 rule, folks.
I'm not going to find out.
If you don't learn anything from the stream today, just know you approximately can live 2 weeks without food. You can live approximately 2 days without water, and you can live approximately 2 minutes without air. Keep that in mind next time you're playing in Worlds.
Okay. Everyone learned something just now.
That's right.
What are we going to learn? I don't know, but we're gonna watch some games being played.
Round 3, we're gonna watch Andy versus Charles. Charles.
Is that right?
I think his name is Charles.
That'd be cool.
It's gonna be cool. We've seen Andy on stream. We have not
Yesterday.
seen. Yep, yesterday. Have not seen supposed Charles.
Round 3, 38-player World Championship. Some wild teams.
Yeah, I've lost count of how many Dreadnought teams we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Today, maybe there's less than yesterday, but this is the first time we've seen the tech piece. It's the first time we've seen the tech piece to sort of negate that, right? So Storm Boys works to negate range in that if they have a Dreadnought in the field, you can use Storm Boys to give your things range, because when the range timing window activates, all characters with range deal their range attack or their range damage. So instead of being a single-sided range barrage, you can then return fire with your characters that you have given range with the Storm Boys Global. Pretty cool.
Round 3 is underway in 3, 2,
He knows it.
1, go. Round 3 starts. Here we go. So on this side, we already know that we're taking a look at a collector control team. Turn 1 Shriek, right away, turn 1 Shriek.
Bam.
And then over here on the other side of things, we've got the Hope Summers Boom Boom with Common Yanti, Parasite. We've got Nova Corps uniform to tech against Iceman. We've got Bishop Hope Summers, look at that.
However,
Bishop Hope
I think
Summers.
this is the common Nova Corps. It's going to be adding to that Yanti unblockable stats.
Oh, it is. Look at that. And
Yep.
then notice, so he just picked up that Throne Brick turn 1 and picked up a Boom Boom turn 1 as well.
So the way I envision, that was Andy's team. This is now Charles's team. The way I envision Andy playing his team is that unblockable Yanti plus some actions to stir things up. The Yanti becomes unblockable and you make it giant. However, he could just go for the Boom Boom ping damage as well. So sort of a flexible option that uses actions in both scenarios. So you can kind of go the action route first, then choose whether you go Boom Boom or Yanti or both.
So let's see how he's going to manage his bag. That's the most important thing. With clearly no global to manage the bag, as you can see, he's not using Atlas, he's not using Resurrection. He's already purchased 1 Throne Brick. I would imagine he's probably going to try the 2 Throne Brick, 10 dice kind of thing. Oh, maybe, it's on the other side. He's able to use the other side. So it looked like the opponent had a Resurrection Global. Grabs a 2nd Throne Brick. And then we have passing on over. Let's see what happens here. After the fill and the roll, it looks like he chose not to resurrect on turn 2, so he's going to fill fully. Wow, and then pulls exactly the pieces he wants. Oh my goodness gracious. He pulled Madam Mask and Shriek and rolled them both turn 3. Unfortunately, that sidekick, you want that to be a character. And look at that, it is a character. Boom, problem solved. Or it is an energy, excuse me. We want that to be an energy, and he rolled it as an energy, and that is bonkers control. Oh my goodness, he blanked the Boom Boom right away. Turn 3, roll 2 characters that you purchased without fixing your bag, and land them both and pay to field them both.
That's called
insane.
the high roll right there.
That is the high roll life. So now what do you do from here? You probably just, I don't know, cross your fingers and pray. You can still invest in Parasite. You can still get unblockable damage with Yanti. You're just not getting boom boom damage, which is what you invested in. It looks like that's exactly what he's thinking. Just get Yuan-ti, just get Parasite.
Yep, this is the flex I was talking about here in Andy's team. Is he's going to use actions for both of these win conditions, but now that Boom Boom is gone, he can go straight for the Yuan-ti unblockable. But he still has invested in those actions that would have benefited with the Boom Boom as well.
Gonna re-roll here. Pick up 3 for the Scarlet Witch, which is smart because you want to limit the action usage to keep that Yuan-ti Pureblood blockable and not unblockable. Then we've got the pull. We've got 2 thrown bricks coming out. Oh, and they both roll immediately. They both have targets as well. So he's going to prep 2 and prep those basic actions as well. He's doing it all before the Scarlet Witch hits the field. Fields the second sidekick on the reroll. Tried to get it to go away, but did not. I would imagine he probably wanted to purchase like another Parasite Yuan-ti kind of combo. He's going to pick up the Hope, though. So, oh, we got a handshake.
Who is that?
Is that? Wait a minute. He's dropping?
Andy England stopping by to show a little love.
Are
with
you
the
dropping?
handshake.
He's dropping. Okay.
Wow.
So Andy England with the handshake, but deciding maybe he needs to go. Where's he going?
Work?
Weird.
Donuts.
I want donuts.
I know. I just want to keep bringing that up.
With the reroll, that was not a handshake for victory. That was just a see you later kind of a thing, I guess. Fielding the sidekick is a possibility. What are you doing with 4 versus 5 here? Collector. This is a great time for a collector, isn't it?
I agree. Now that the control's in place here for Charles, he definitely is going to go collector route, I imagine.
And look,
Bingo.
what a guess.
We've seen the future.
Man, it's like we're commentating or something.
Which, again, collector is a twofold win condition here. You can bring other things in on your turn or your opponent's turn. You can also enable other win conditions like Norman Osborn. He's also a villain, so he counts towards that villain damage. Over to Andy's screen.
This is his reroll. It would
A
appear.
giant roll here. Gets some of the pieces he was looking for. He'd really like that Parasite so that he can, every turn, attach that to Yuan-ti.
Let's see what he gets. See if he chooses to reroll. Or maybe, perhaps this was the reroll. They're playing at such a fast click, that might be the reroll. He might be stuck with this.
Seems like he would have rerolled it if he could.
Right, you would want to reroll the Parasite, you'd want to reroll the Thrown Brick
action,
as well.
yeah.
He's going to pay 4 for a Wonder Woman Child of Clay. So global abilities aren't going to affect your characters if your opponent tries to target them with them. Does that have some sort of an effect in this matchup? Let's take a look back when we switch back over and see if there's some usefulness in that. He is going to be able to play the action and then push the 3 damage, it would appear. It's a 3-1. Yep. He prepped to die with the Thrown Brick. That makes the Yuan-ti unblockable, so he pushes for 3. It goes to used.
And that's essentially the rinse and repeat game plan here from Andy. He's just going to keep fielding Yuan-tis. I mean, add the Parasite when you can, and keep those Thrown Bricks rolling so your bag is a little slimmer. Scarlet Witch going to slow down those Thrown Bricks, unfortunately, but they're not. I mean, I don't want to say they're not as important now that Boom Boom's gone, because you have to have an action to make Yuan-ti unblockable.
We do not yet know if the cut for players is to 8 or to 16. We're going to talk with the judges, or talk with the organizers after this, and see if they have it set one way or the other. I think we have the choice, so we could actually choose to run it as a top 16 or a top 8. Throw it in chat. What would you prefer to see? It may not be exactly what you vote for, but it'd be good to hear.
It might even not be exactly what we vote for.
That's true.
Someone will decide. So Hope Summers and Wonder Woman here.
Yep. We can assume that Hope is going to copy the only target on the... Well, you could copy Boom Boom technically, but Boom Boom's blanked.
Right.
So that'd be a terrible idea. It's going to copy Bishop. We saw he gestured that. I love the I got no text little tag he put on Boom Boom. Be pretty
because, she's got no text currently.
Three energy remaining. Paying for the Shriek. popping it over there.
Shriek is an interesting choice here because now that all of Charles' control is in the field, you can choose any of those to blank. I mean, even Collector here would be a decent, critical Shriek target. So there are so many good things to blank in Charles's field, it'll be interesting to see which Andy chooses.
So he picks up the Norman, and this is a really good thing about Collector teams, is leaving one Norman on the card and then buying one Norman, because you can have these huge burst turns where you actually field one that you've purchased and field the second and just win. And that's an extremely important little subtle thing to at some point buy a Norman so that you can threaten lethal just about every turn once you have Collector on the board. Because whenever you draw the Norman Osborn, you basically just have the possibility of lethal on a villain control team running Norman Collector.
Yeah, the first one fielded is going to deal somewhere in the 5-6 range, and the second one would be a 6-7 range. So
yeah,
huge chunks of damage that can be done in one turn, especially with that Collector ability.
Indeed.
Being able to fire that on your turn and your opponent's turn is absolutely disgusting. Good news for Andy is that he didn't bring any villains of his own. So Nabi would count those other villains across the way, but Andy has none. There's the Collector. As well as Black Widow. So Black Widow, a little protection piece against character abilities. So as of now, there's 4 villains in the field. That means when this Norman Osborn comes in, he will count himself and deal 5 to Andy. He attacks with the Norman Osborn, as is rudimentary. Standard procedure here, because the Norman Osborn goes back to the card at the end of turn, so you may as well, take out another character on your way out. Hope Summers blocks and is sent to prep for next turn. Interesting he didn't block with Boom Boom at that point, but I guess he just didn't want to refield. Maybe he has a different plan here for Hope the second time around, but I don't see it. Scarlet Witch requires that generic energy stays on double generic.
Oh, and he got a Shriek out so that he can now free up the Boom Boom slot if he fields. Actually, no, because isn't Madame Mask in the field? And so if Madame Mask is in the field, that's not going to target. Is that right? Madame Mask is the
that is
one
true.
that
He
says
just brought it back.
When fielded abilities do not trigger. So putting that out there is literally just a stat body. A stat body. That's a word that.
It's a stat body.
Those are words that came out of my mouth. Put that on a shirt somewhere. Stat body.
Stat body. It's in the rule book.
So he's got just a wide field, but he doesn't have a way to push the burn damage that he wants, because everything he's looking to do is when fielded based. So Madame Mask is just a hard counter.
Now the critical piece here is. This is the turn you were
the
talking
turn.
about
this
here.
This is the one.
This
if
is
that
if he
comes
gets
up,
a Norman.
and he didn't. So it's still a clock. As you can see, there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be when you field the Norman. There's still 5 at least on his side.
But is Hope Bishop out there right now?
That's the question. Hope Bishop is out on the field, is it not? That is the question. Let me go double check that.
That's super important here. This could be lethal otherwise. Stephen going for some clarification here to figure out whether that Hope Summers is indeed a copy of, or has gained Bishop's text or not. Andy does get his Parasite, which is, it's super critical that stays in the field. He does not have a Yuan Ti this turn, which is fairly upsetting because you want those two things to happen at the same time. The good news is Parasite does hang out in the field, not going anywhere. He must reroll the action, but he gets it. Scarlet Witch in your eye.
Now let's see, there's not a ton that he can really do with the action. I mean, it gives him some prep, gives him some ramp. It's not dealing damage with Boom Boom because everything's been locked down. Not even the Hope Summers and Bishop thing, that's not even working because Hope Summers was shut off as the wind fielded effect on it. Can't trigger with Madame Mask in the field.
That's the piece we were missing.
It's really just straight up shut down this team.
Yep.
That Madame Mask is so toxic for a wind-fielded effect, kind of a boom-boom type team.
Which actually, when I saw Andy's team, I thought he was running the other Wonder Woman that would also negate when fielded and when attacks, and that would shut down this Collector and Nabi team.
Right, but he's running the global ability one.
Right, because he's scared of static field, right? If your backup win condition is unblockable damage, you have to have something to
That's
answer
right.
to static field. Static field, again, says pay a mask, return attacking character to the field zone.
Now, if you wonder why Andy just lost life, on your opponent's turn, you can also activate Collector. So he paid one of those fists still in his reserve to field the Nabi, again dealing damage based on the number of villains in the field. We can see there's 4 villains on this side of the field, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 1 over on the other side of the field.
Plus Norman
And
counts
that's
himself.
and Norman counts himself, and so that's just going to be game. He rolled a fist there, so they both realized, oh, shake it out. All he has to do is pay that fist, field a Norman, and that's going to deal 6 damage. Or is it
Wow.
7? Might even be 7
Yeah,
damage.
it just builds on itself.
And so there we just see the power, the strength, and the flexibility. I don't know what flexibility. This is definitely the control power of Madame Mask. Madame
Right.
Mask against the right team is just a hard counter.
And in
It's scary.
combination, so in combination with Shriek and other control pieces like
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch,
Yeah.
it is so gross. Like Madame Mask by herself, pretty darn good. Madame Mask in a lineup of control characters, so very good, especially when they're all villains.
Exactly. And not only that, it was purchased in the right way.
Yep.
We saw it purchased and rolled very luckily, we
Exactly.
might add, on that
Exactly.
turn 3 in the right order. So he knew that he needed Madame Mask and he needed Shriek. You get those 2 pieces.
Yep.
You're not going to die early to some random boom boom stuff, which is not a wind-fielded effect. And
No.
you are going to shut off the Shriek. You're going to shut off the burn damage
Summers.
protector with Hope Summers Bishop. You're going to shut off basically everything that you can do to pivot.
Yeah.
So it's literally like, man, if I'm playing that Boom Boom team, I really definitely want to not run up against Madame Mask, and if I do, I just have to hard commit to Yanti Unblockable Parasite, because that's
Right.
the only thing that
Gotta
is not
sell
selling.
out. You gotta
Yeah.
sell out. Especially,
Yeah.
I mean, the game could have been more complicated if Static Field was also there.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy teched in that Wonder Woman, but even with the flexibility of, okay, Andy can buy actions and actions, and he can use it in 2 different ways.
Yeah.
They both still got shut down. I mean, the entirety of Charles's team is control. So it's just a, do I get control first, or do you control me first sort of
Right.
mindset.
Well,
in
and
terms of
that game,
matchup.
you said it could have gone differently based on having that that card on the team. It could have gone much differently if neither of those or either of those control pieces did not get pulled or rolled on
Yep.
turn 3,
Yep.
because it would have set everything back by 1 turn, thus
Right.
making things a little bit more flexible to squeeze in your own Shriek first, which we saw came out the very next turn.
Or you
It was-
could, yeah. So you get 1 extra turn as Andy. You can hard purchase a bishop, and then that game looks way different.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah, if you hard purchase
So if you
a
can
bishop-
buy 1 turn with Hope Summers, then you can purchase a real bishop, then it's a totally different game.
Yeah, I wonder if we could have seen that as a sort of a pivot piece, knowing Hope Summers is not going to work with the when fielded effect triggering being turned off. Maybe you just spend a turn hard buying a bishop.
Right. But he didn't have that many turns to work with.
No, he really didn't. Once things started
As soon
rolling,
as you can
it
collector
stopped.
on every, your turns and your opponents, you are ticking down very quickly at 5, 6, 7
Things-
apiece.
Things
Yeah.
were very, very smooth.
Agreed.